Brother?
You well?
Very well. The one you well?
I'm well. Episode 5. Eh? This is episode 5.
Yeah, we must still, there's a few problems with slices, so we'll get to that.
Okay. So welcome guys, today we got, I think there's a fair few people that want to obviously get to know Asa. He's a pretty private person. We appreciate your time, As. Thanks for coming, eh?
No, anytime, brothers, anytime.
Yeah, so Asa, we're going to start with just your upbringing, where you're from, because the first time I came to the Lions, I was impressed. Afrikaans, Engels,
Yeah.
in Kosa.
Yes.
Yeah. Is that and swearing?
Yeah, the Afrikaans I picked up, I went to an Afrikaans primary school, mostly colored kids.
Mm-hmm.
In the cracks is down in Blit.
Okay.
So that's where I grew up, and then I picked up my English. My English was actually very bad until I got to Joburg. I actually didn't know any English. I'm not gonna say it was bad, I didn't know any English.
Yeah.
So I picked up my English down here in Joburg. I went to a school called St. Stidion's down in Randburg.
At what age did you go there? I was 14. High school?
Yes, 14, grade 8.
Okay.
So got there in grade 8. It was tough, man. It was a tough.
And us in that, what made your decision? What sense?
I think my mom made the decision for me, because it was up to me. I would have stayed probably in the Western Cape. I would have probably went to Taniqua High, which is in George.
And listen, always a rugby player.
Always.
And that's how you got into Saints.
Yeah, always a rugby player. I actually started taking rugby very serious in grade 6.
Okay.
Yeah.
Listen, I want to touch on something you said. Going from speaking Afrikaans and Kosa at home and going to a school that's fully English as a 14-year-old, eh? How did you do that? Did you come to school and then they helped you a lot with your English, or did you just have to pick it up yourself?
No, man, it was tough. I always explain this to people that ask me this question. It was almost going into, as a young kid, especially as a 14-year-old, going into class where everything is in English, where I was used to, everything was in Afrikaans, everything was half Xhosa, half Afrikaans. So for me, the first 2 years was probably the toughest.
Yes, well,
So every term that we had off, I begged my mom to please take me off to school. I wanted to go to Uteneko High. And she just refused. For some reason, she just refused. She didn't want to hear it. There's some days where I'll sleep on purpose just to miss a bus or just to miss a flight back to Joburg.
yes, true.
But they'll make a plan to book another one for me to come to Joburg.
But look what happened that day. And I think a lot of children struggle these days when parents make decisions like that. You don't understand it at that age. When we immigrated to Australia, we also didn't want to go.
Mm.
We also fought against it. We also was in Afrikaans school. I had to learn English when year 10, start 8 year 10. So we had to learn that from this, not learn it, but studying it. A whole different culture. But at the end of the day, you realize when you're older why.
It gives me a good indicator of how early your resilience started and your not I wouldn't say struggles, but your adversity started at the age of 14, where you get thrown in the deep end. I mean, when I moved to Japan when I was a grown-up and there was no English.
Yeah, it's tough.
We struggled, and like I said before in previous episodes, it had impact on my life and my family life and everything. So at the age of 14, you went behind the ears, eh?
Yeah, it also kind of forced me to get out of my box. I think that by the third term of grade 8, I was kind of getting used to how things operate this side in Joburg, or how things operate, because I went to a private school. So you can imagine going from a government school to a private school and being a kid that's being on a scholarship and you seeing all these fancy things. Like, oof, man, I wish I had that. By the third term, I thought, okay, like, I'm getting used to this. Maybe I can stay for another year or so, but it ended up being very good for me.
And also, your upbringing, was it a humble upbringing, or did you guys, your family, were they financially stable? Was it tough upbringing as a child, or?
It was tough, man. I always don't like speaking about it because it's a way people feel kind of, how do I say it? And how do I put it? They feel
Offended.
yes, but yeah, we were never. I got a scholarship to science. My mother she couldn't afford science.
That's expensive.
So it was
Right?
very expensive. I wouldn't say we were poor.
Yeah.
We weren't poor, but
You had what you need.
we had what I needed at that time. But yeah, I was raised by a single mother. I have a brother. So that for me, that was my support structure. And
Older or younger?
older brother. Yeah, that was for me was a support structure. My uncle played a huge role in me coming this side as well. He kind of had the father figure that I always needed. So
How old is your older brother?
older brother is 28 this
So
year.
he's 5-6 years older than you.
Yeah.
Listen, and what impact would you say not having a father figure? Because we've spoken to Bubus as well. His father obviously passed away when he was young, and his stepfather stepped in the role. Do you look back now, knowing the impact that your brother played as a father figure and the other role models, in your life, does it make sense now, or has it not really kicked in yet?
It kind of makes sense now. Now I understand why sometimes they were protecting me from certain things.
Yeah.
And now I look back and say, now I understand why my brother or my uncle was doing certain things. Especially when he came to, there was a time where I was, I think in grade 11, approaching to go to initiation schools. There was certain things they did and they taught me, for me to get through that.
Yeah.
So it meant a lot. Now it all kind of making sense.
And also, as you went into science, and obviously the rugby started, did the rugby take a lot of that pressure on you? Was that a way you could have expressed yourself while playing rugby? Did that take a lot of pressure off yourself, or was it still hard playing in a culture that you don't really understand yet?
Rugby was my way of communicating with the guys that I couldn't really communicate with in English. Because rugby was a way for me to show that I am part of this.
Fitting in, basically.
I can fit in with you guys. I am one of you guys.
And in a sense, because I firmly believe all children need to be part of a sports team.
Yes.
So would you say how easy by playing sport, whatever it was, cricket, soccer, but being part of a sports team is important for the development. How important do you think that was in your situation?
It becomes so much easier, James, because you're kind of communicating in one language.
Yes.
You know, I know one might not be able to speak as fluently as the other one, but you know, sport is such a special thing, man. Because if we're all playing rugby, we're playing it for the same goal. I assume it by the end of the weekend we want to win. So it's kind of it becomes the same language.
It's a language,
in a way.
yeah.
So where we can understand and embrace each other's cultures afterwards.
And I guess it's a sense of, in your situation, and if we look back now, that I just spoke about in Australia, we were good in sport, and that opened places for outsiders
to come in,
to approach you, to make it easier for you. Instead of being reversed and reserved, we make it much harder.
So I always give this example. I remember my first year at Lions. Remember we were in Edinburgh, I think it was Edinburgh.
Yeah.
And we went to that Brazilian barbecue. And the first time it kicked in for me what rugby does. And it's the same all over the world. You get Australia, New Zealand with all the diverse backgrounds. I remember sitting on the table, it was me, you, Sabu, James, I remember that night. And we started speaking about the different cultures. I mean, Sabu's Zulu, and you, of course, and Steve was there as well. And that's when it kicked in for me what rugby actually is and how special it is, because you don't understand. For instance, in his situation, he was an alien, he was an outsider because he couldn't speak, and therefore you can isolate yourself because you're so out of your comfort zone. But when you're onto the field, you've all got the same thing, and it makes you realize how important sport is, not just rugby, but sports in general. And yes, but as for me, it's it makes sense now. Honestly, that how you're so mentally tough and resilient, because it started at a young age, and so now it makes sense to me. And I wanted to explain a bit your journey through school rugby. Was it were you always a high achiever? Did you live up to the expectation in school? Obviously, I know you're 12 year and you're year 11 year. You were massive.
Yeah. Look, going into a private school had been because I always had that mindset whenever I played, especially against the likes of JP. Those were big schools for us to play against. JP Keys. Those are the guys that we compete with for high colours for Lions. So I always say, because I made all the Rugby, Grand Como. So I wouldn't say an achiever, but I achieved my goals that I set for myself when I got to grade 10, which was play Grand Como, which was play Craven Week the following year. I played Craven Week twice for the Lions. Started the first year, the second year, my matric year, I was on the bench. So it was something that I put out to myself, and it was one of the goals that I set out to myself.
And 2 years, did you play 2 years? Well, now you played 2 years 20s.
Yes.
And 2 years school boys.
I played 1 year SS schools, which was my matric year. Actually, funny enough, I've got a story about when I was in grade 11. I started. So there's a guy that was benching for me. His name is Keegan Glad, a good mate of mine, still close until this day. He went to Keys. He got selected ahead of me in 2016 for the SS schools. You know, that for me, I took that very personal. Going into the following year. So it was kind of a thing for me, because when I take those little things very, very personal. But I don't let them eat me up to the point that I use them as motivation to become a better player, to become a better human being.
You keep it to yourself.
I keep it to myself. I don't normally put it out there and say, I didn't get picked because I'm going to do this. No. I kept it within myself. And the following year, we played a final. Lucky enough, it was down at my school at Saints, Craven final against KZN, which was the Sharks. I had a proper game. If you go back and watch it, I came off the bench there as well. That's how I feel I made the SS schools that year.
Just touching on that, as I've got a twofold question for you. Where schoolboy rugby is now, the professionalism it is now. First question is, is it a bit too much because of the enjoyment you had? I mean, if you ask my brother, he had a great year when he was year 12, the enjoyment, you never had the excess worry, stress. But now I think the way it's going, you from 17, 18, you do have that stress, that pressure. Do you think that's is a good thing? And going after that, going through higher honours, like I'll give you examples for yourself. I came in 2021. Asa never complained why he's not playing. He was patient. So I think my second question is, why are guys straight out of school so impatient of getting to the professional?
I think, to go back to your first question, James, I think the reason why schoolboy rugby has become so into the point where it's almost semi-pro or professional. It's so much pressure on these kids, man, because if one doesn't make first team, they think it's the end of the world. If one doesn't make extra schools, they think it's the end of the world. So I think the reason why these kids take it so seriously, I have to put it down to the social media. It's purely down on social media, and I think it's the pressure that's on these kids these days. It's a lot.
It's an extremely dangerous game, man.
Yeah, it is, man.
To put pressure on kids. I mean, at that age, for you not knowing even where you're gonna do what you want to do after school, for that pressure to become rugby, to become your identity, and we've spoken about it a few times. It's a lot of pressure on kids, and that the percentage of big kids making it out of school nowadays in South African rugby is not a lot. Like the best of the best will make it if you continue. So I think it can have an adverse effect on kids once they don't achieve those marks, you know, those goals they want.
But I think where does it come? What's the difference? Because I know, for example, Asa maybe knew he was good enough to play when he was 21, 22, but he never expected it to come so early. So where's the difference of Asa and John Doe that comes out of school under 19? He demands, he needs to play.
See, Dave, sorry
where does that come?
I think I differ with you there. I think Asa, the way I can understand it, I think he expected to play, and he was good enough to play at early age, but he didn't.
He also understood.
Yeah, I think it's a way of, and it comes back to adversity again. He was at such a young age, he had to face massive adversity. Adversity people don't understand. And later on, say first year, second year out of school, correct me if I'm wrong, if you knew you were good enough but you didn't get selected, you had those coping mechanisms and those moments in your life to look back on how to deal with those situations.
Yeah, because like when I came out of school and I came to the Lions, I think that year, the title at the Union was Carlos Sadi.
What year was that?
I came out in 2018. That was my first year at the Lions. But I played in 2016 for under 19s. But 2018, that was my first year, my first professional year out of school. I think Yanni was here, Carlo, Dreyer, who else? I'm trying to think.
Who played that game in 2008?
I think
Malcolm was still there?
Van Wyk, the guy from Monash, but I think he retired now. So there was about 4 guys ahead of me. Yes, France, yes. So there was 4 guys ahead of me at that time, and you know when you just come back from junior box, you know some of the guys, some loose halls or wings get the debuts, and you ask yourself, flip man, am I not good enough? I just played 2 times junior box. And I think I'm ready for that moment. But for me, it was all about, like, I'm not going to go up to the head coach and ask him why I'm not playing. You know what I mean? Because they're going to have, you know, when you're not playing, there's lots of reasons why you're not playing. But the moment you start playing, 100%. That's when everyone just keeps quiet. So for me, it was all about really keeping your head down and push through. And I've been through that. Lucky enough for me, it wasn't my first time not being selected for anything. So it was.
And I think that, for me personally, I think that's a great way to approach it. That's how me and you approach it as well. From 19, we were never the person that knocked 3 times a week on a coach as well. I personally don't believe that's the way to go. I feel when a coach will tell you, hopefully he's honest and he will tell you, but if you think of a coach perspective, coach's side, you knocking 3-4 times a week.
I
It
can
doesn't
understand,
help.
man. It's
Doesn't
irritating.
help.
Yeah.
So then fast forward to, when was it? Your first, when did you debut?
My debut was in 2021
Okay.
against
Was
the
it
Sharks.
URC then? Was it?
It wasn't
Rainbow
officially called, it was Rainbow Cup.
Yeah.
It was Rainbow Cup in Durban. I made my debut. Remember, I think I got about 20 or 15 minutes.
Coming on for Yanni.
Coming off for... it was Carlo. I was coming off for Carlo. I was coming off the bench for Carlo.
And was that the year, something I'm pretty interested to hear from your side, the year you captained the Currie Cup? What year was that?
Yeah, it was the same year. So,
My first year.
yeah. So the same year. Because I think we played the Rainbow Cup finished, and then we moved into the URC, if I'm not wrong. That's the same year I captained the Currie Cup. Probably the toughest year of my professional career so far.
In what sense?
In the sense of,
Responsibility or?
because I always knew I had some sort of leadership skills in
100%,
me.
yeah.
Because I was captain of a few things in school, basketball to be named. I was vice captain for the first side for the rugby. So I kind of knew I had leadership skills in me, but to be given a young group like that, guys that have all making the debuts that same year that you appointed as captain,
It's massive,
it
Joe.
was kind of tough for me. You know?
And did you see it coming, or did they just?
To be honest, I did not see it coming when coach told me in a meeting, you're going to lead the team this season for a Currie Cup. I was mind blown, man. I couldn't believe it.
I think to be honest, if you in 10 years' time, if you look back at that moment, John, to captain the Currie Cup at the age of, how old were you?
22.
As a tied prop, is, regardless whether it's a young squad or not, the Currie Cup is the Currie Cup.
Yeah, it is.
And you must have learned a lot through that. Or
That taught me a lot about the game in general, and about other people, how to respond to other different characters. So for me, it was almost a learning curve in my rugby career, and being thrown into the deep end, and how am I going to react? And I thought it was a tough moment for me, but I handled it quite well.
So I would like to just talk on a
No.
talk on a point about hard times. Whatever it is for me. First question. Sorry, I'm jumping around as things come to my mind. For me, to address the elephant in the room, let's not. You're very young and you earn, I assume, quite a good salary. But how do you have a balance and not, because our biggest problem is from a young age it swallowed us up. Off the field stuff. How do you guys, all the youngsters, whoever you close mates with in the Lions team, how do you guys balance that and how do you control that?
Look, Jeff, I wouldn't sit here and lie to you and say in my first few years of being professional, I didn't go around and doing some stuff that I wasn't supposed to be doing. I mean, I'm not saying I'm not still doing it, but I'm doing it in a way where it's controllable, where I put myself in positions where I'm not able to do certain things. I'm not able to go out on a night out and go get pushed until 4 o'clock in the morning. So, and also it's having the circle of mates that,
understand
that, okay, at the end of the day, we all got a common goal where we want to be, but we also know at the same time we're young enough to still enjoy our youth, and there's time for certain things, and there's a place.
And I guess a good way to always do it, like me and you never did it. When
we were rubbish,
I said the other day on the podcast, when we went to Australia, we went literally from jail to Australia, from South African jail to Australia. But we were, and I'm not going to name the 4 or 5 guys. Bro, after a game, in the week we'll have Tuesday because you have Wednesday off, we'll go bowling. 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the morning.
Well, we don't even enjoy bowling anymore, just really just to look for a reason to drink.
And we always, there was days that province played, the senior team played Currie Cup, and we didn't play that weekend, we were under 19.
Mhm.
The gates open, so at grote skier you come, everyone braais, and a couple of us will load the back of the bakkie.
With like a sail cube.
Sail.
So
with
we'll
Yeah.
put the thing from Stellenbosch. Sorry to interrupt, James. We'll corner it in, fill it up with water till we sit there.
and 5 kilometers from where we're driving, all the water would be out. But anyway, so we would sit there, and it's probably like 8 of us behind a bantam bakkie. And or I can't remember what bakkie it was, but anyway, then we'll stop at the bottle store, the drankwinkel. Each of us get a bottle of shots. That was the rule. Each of us. This is 8 o'clock in the morning. We turn the cap, throw it off. 5 we have to finish that shot before we get to Grote Skier, which is 30-40 kilometers. Then we can get to Grote Skier, the gates for the security.
We had to pay them to
Yeah.
open it early.
It only opens at 11 or what. We
Yeah.
come there 9:15. We pay them
To open it up early.
After there's a few times, I'm not gonna name them, guys. They still play professional rugby. That you don't even watch the game, bro. You just pass out under the and then you go from there. We organize our drinks already at home. Drink a bottle of Red Hot each, me and the other friend, and from there we go out. That's how it was. Friday, Saturday, Tuesday.
Yeah, we lost complete control, because I think what it comes down to is I wouldn't say we were shielded as kids, but we grew up pretty strict, so we were pretty aware of what we were doing. And as soon as you get that freedom leaving the house,
Yeah.
it's dangerous. Yes,
It is very, very dangerous. Especially when you start earning, you know, a normal 19-year-old doesn't have that type of money in his own account, you know. When I myself and my friends, I also won't mention them because they also still play. So especially when, you know, payday comes around the corner, you know.
Yeah.
But there's a res close by the stadium where we used to stay. Yeah, man. Some crazy stories coming out of the around payday. You would just smile at his payday. And the cars start buying, and you know things are gonna get around the corner now. Things are happening. The things are happening. You see Oaks with the plastic of bags are coming from Spot, and you know, yep.
Pay us in.
And it's happening. So Oaks blew literally the whole pay in one weekend.
We had some, because those days, I said to someone, we had a dross, I think it was every Thursday night. I saw 50 rand for the 500 gram T-bone.
No, it was 100 rand for 500 gram T-bone and a draft.
Yes, so it was good.
Was it cheap?
But anyway, then there was bottles, you know those bottles of cane?
Yes.
It was 50 rand for a bottle of cane and a cream soda. And then Tuesday nights at ladies' night at New Bar, 2 rand shots.
So you can literally go there with 100 rand and be slaughtered.
100 rand can drink 50 shots.
Cheapest, man.
Ron went on a holiday with Quinn Roo. He was injured, and I've recently posted a photo of him weighing 148 kilograms.
I was 142.
No, you weren't.
How would you know?
Because I can see. But
Okay.
anyway, what happened? You guys both had shoulder injuries.
Yeah, me and Quinn both got a shoulder injury, and we just decided we're going to go to Pretoria this week to his family.
Was it a week or week?
And I literally woke up that on the, it was like a 4-day thing.
Yeah.
I woke up one morning on my back. I've got this tub of KFC on top of my gut. I'm literally laying there on my back eating chicken, like living the life. Like at this stage,
Talking about that, that actually recently happened to me. When we went, I know we're not, we went to a forwards camp, and our forwards can get a bit, so we went to some place called Paris. It was nice, man. I really enjoyed my time. I found myself with a bucket of KFC.
But it happens.
It happens, man. It was quite something to remember. It was fun.
I remember this is the story I want to tell, and the guy's gonna know who it is. We always went out. I'm not gonna say his name, but he'll know what it is. So we went out this one night. we went back to our friend Albie and Ficky. They lived at our house, and we went back to their house. The next morning, I woke up. Outside was this double bed, a sleeper couch. So the next morning, I woke up. I think it was fucking cold. There was 2 people laying there. One friend, and obviously this was a girl. And Fucky said, wake up, why are you sleeping next to Ruan? So the guy took home this girl, but it looked exactly like my brother.
So he thought the girl was me. I was like, nah, bro.
So she was also about 140, 45.
Yeah. Okay, on a serious note, have you always had, everyone knows, us as bigger guys, you always get some slack.
Yeah.
And I think, to call a spade, people have been pretty hard on you before you started playing this type of rugby you're playing now, before they even got to see you play properly. Has that always been the case? And also, you tend to put a smile always on your face. Is that how you cope? I want to ask you, with such bad critics at a stage of your career, how did you cope with it? How did you go home, and what was your coping mechanisms with such criticism and adversity?
Yeah, it was tough. It was tough, Ron. I will not lie to you.
Mm.
And it's something that still drives me to this day. It's something that drives. I'll have to say it played a huge part in my performances, and on having those people criticizing, and based on how I look, not based on how I play.
Yeah.
So it was something literally. As soon as I came out of school, that was like the thing of, no, we can't select you because of that. Now, even with the coaches back in those days, we can't select you because we feel you're overweight. We can't select you because we feel you can't get around the park. We can't select you because we feel you can't scrum. So those things for me kind of sit back at the back of my head and say, okay, that doubted me.
Yeah.
Let me get a chance. Let me get a chance to play. Let me get a chance, not just to prove you, but to prove to myself that I am more than what you say I am.
And he's saying that there's a lot of, I don't understand it quite, because I think Nala had the same problem at a stage.
Well, everyone, we all had.
Yeah, we all get it. But like I said, it's always, I feel it's coach's reason that you're not, it's an easy way out.
Yeah.
Yeah, but for us, you had to. What I'm asking is, you had to sit for a while with that shit, and constantly going home after training, hearing it. So for a long period of time, you had to sit and you had to find ways, I'm guessing, to cope with it. And what it sounds like is, you took that as a positive, and that's what drove you.
Yeah, I mean, there's some days, I won't lie to you, there was some days where I felt like, fuck. Sorry for my language.
No, you can swear.
Like, fuck these people, man. You know what I mean? Let me get a move. Let me go somewhere where I'll be much appreciated. Let me do something different. Let me move. Let me get a change of scenery. But until this day, I'll forever be grateful to my missus. She kept me down. She kept me grounded. She knew exactly what I'm capable of. You know, I know she's very behind closed doors, and I'll keep her that way for the people. And she's been a good support structure for me at home. When I go back at home and moan about rugby and moan about what the coaches are saying about me, what people are saying about me, it's something that I forever appreciate that about her. And she kept me grounded, man. She kept me very grounded, and I had to pick myself up sometimes. Like you've mentioned, I had to keep a smile, man. I've always been taught that no matter how negative someone is towards you, no matter how hard they are towards you, whether that's in a good way or in a bad way, just keep smiling.
And I've learned a lot about you, to be honest, because me and you would run together in pre-season, and it got tough. And it got tough where he would vomit next to me, and I would be in a bad place where I can't even run anymore. And he'd just keep his head down and keep going and keep going and keep going. Even what I'm trying to get at, when you train that hard and you don't see the reward, and you just see criticism and you just see people knocking you down, but you turn up and you keep going for months and years and months end. That's what I'm talking about, is your level of maturity and your level of mental toughness is really a testament to where you are now. Like, could you agree with me? That's why you're playing the rugby like you are now, because of, yes, your motivation to prove people wrong, but because of all those stages in your life where you had to face adversity.
Yeah.
And do you think that's what brought you through those times, and that's what kept you going?
I think it did, Ruth. I think, like I said, those pre-season where you're working so hard and then you just feel like you're not seeing the results. You're not losing the weight that they're saying you should lose, but you're working so hard. You pitch up every day.
Yeah.
You pitch up with a smile. You're working very hard, and I think those days are starting to show in a way of here's your achievement. You know, you've been
There's your
working.
reward.
There's a reward in a way. There's a reward that you've been working so hard that you just keep doing what you're doing.
And
Who knows?
Yeah, and I think you spoke about it earlier, in the earlier episodes. I think, and I'm not just saying it because my wife's sitting there, but how important is it to come home and actually after a shit day of training, you actually get a smile and some excitement back when you know you're going to drive home. And I just completely forget about it.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's hard to let it go. Like yesterday's, when was it? Saturday's loss against the Bulls. Then you now I have to deal with all this criticism again on social media and all that sort of stuff. But it doesn't bother me. But it makes me aggressive towards the fact that I want to stand up and say something.
Yeah.
But then once again I remind myself, for what? I'm at home now gaan ek 'n vuur aansteek, lekker iets braai. Those comments and everyone mean nothing to me.
Yeah.
You
Look,
understand at the end of the day.
it's so important to go home, and I always say the first thing I get home, I don't speak about rugby. Firstly, she has to bring out the conversation out of me and say, "Okay, babe, what happened today? How's work?" So I try not to bring work problems at home. I try to keep that at work.
Sorry, how do you, sorry, now you're not finished, but how do you, if things get too much with you in regards to rugby and how it goes, who is your soundboard? How do you see a psychologist? Like I see a psychologist, once again I haven't seen him in a while. I saw a psychologist weekly, sometimes 2 times a week. How do you deal with it?
Personally, I'm more of a person that now lean towards the people that have always been there for me. For example, I've got a family that helped me here in Joburg when I was still in high school. So they kind of my second parents. And whenever things got tough, I'd lean more towards them. They also give me some criticism and give me some hard love.
Yeah,
in a good way, man. You know, those are the people that I would lean towards. It's also my friends, man. It's guys that I've always appreciated. I know, rugby gives you this thing where you think people are your friends sometimes, but they're not. But I actually think I find genuine guys that are a group of good people, good human beings before they are good rugby players.
And I want to touch on that actually now. I want your opinion as well. Players do not see the reality of once they walk out the door for the final time, no one gives a shit about
who
you.
you are, yeah, man.
Players need to start noticing that now. Once I walk out at the Lions or wherever my future is, at whatever, anyway, once I walk...
You're going to become a doctor, aren't you?
Yeah. Yeah, so once you walk out the door, no, it's done. Game over. No one cares about you.
You're a commodity.
Exactly. So that's the reality. And if anyone else argues with me about that, you're bullshitting yourself. So if players can get over that now and stop being, yes, the loyalty in rugby is towards the team you play against. That's your loyalty. Other than that, there's no loyalty.
I spoke to a guy that's pretty big at the Lions that retired recently. I'm not going to say his name, but I'm pretty sure we all know he is. Within 3 months after he retired, he said he's heard from 2 people from the club. Within 3 months.
And this is not a bag at the Lions. It's not at all. That's just how rugby works.
Yeah.
That's the reality of any sport, NFL, basketball, whatever. Now that who's retired, I say you watch a lot of NBA basketball stuff. Give me a guy that was in his prime, talked about everywhere. Ibrahimovic, a soccer player. He doesn't play anymore. No one cares.
And he actually recently retired now because
No one cares.
fuck, you know what I mean? So
So
I
it's-
had a coach under 19, but he's recently moved when I was 21. He was very hard on rugby players being humans. You know, be a human being before you are a rugby player. You know what I mean? I think that's what rugby like. I think we had a conversation the other day
Yeah,
where I feel rugby lacks characters.
yeah.
I think that's where we currently
Yes.
lacking
The
in the industry.
uniqueness of each person.
Yeah,
And I'm sorry, I just want to add something. And I'm
That's how
gonna
you
get-
really feel.
Yeah. Do you want me to? I'm going to get a lot of flack for this, but in the sport industry, once they sign you or they want to sign you, yes, they did everything. Once they decide if you get injured or they don't want to resign you, how does that look?
It's
First of all, you don't exist.
yeah,
That's a reality.
it is hard, man. I've watched a few guys that have gone through that type of experience, and I've spoken to a few of them as well. It is something hard to watch, man. It's to know that maybe one day I'll be that person. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe one day I'll be treated in that
Mm.
certain manner. And it is hard to kind of watch, but unfortunately, that's
But for
That's-
me, players from schoolboy level need to get that drilled into them by their parents or the senior, because no one cares. Once they're done with you, you're done.
yeah, man.
In
You
any
need
sport.
to learn how to deal with disappointment.
Yeah.
At the moment, the quicker you do that, I think the quicker your rugby career can elevate. You know what I mean?
I was want to ask you, there's two more things I want to talk about. How do you make sure that rugby doesn't become your identity? Because I've struggled with that in my past career, in the past 10, 15 years I've been playing, where you get caught in this circle
Yeah.
and you almost judge yourself by you just judge your whole existence around what you do.
It is something that I've struggled with as well. You know, when you have such a crack of a game this weekend, you think, oh, the whole world revolves around you. Everyone is, you know, I'm that guy.
Yeah, it's hard. And then
Everyone else is, you know, and then the following weekend you have a shit one.
yeah,
So it's a roller coaster of emotions, and what I've decided on doing is you know, whether I have a good game or a shit game, you know, the next day the sun comes up. Man.
yeah.
You know, I still have my girlfriend, I still have my brother,
Yeah.
I still have my mother, I still have my support structure at the end of the day. So like I said, I've leaned more towards that than anything, because you get these the same people that praise you on internet are the same people that will criticize you when you have a shit game. So
Was it easy to become like that, or did it take time?
it takes time, man. I wouldn't lie to any kid that's gonna watch this and say no, it happens immediately. It's not.
I always say, in our industry, there's a lot of guys that don't like the directness and
Yeah.
jy was kak die naweek so you were bad this week. They don't like it because the
Hurt
coaches
your feelings.
Yeah.
coaches know they're gonna hurt your feelings.
Mm.
You grown up, you contracted, you're getting paid. Learn to like it.
Yeah.
I still don't like it, but I
100%.
know how to deal with it. The next time, if you don't like it and you're gonna cry about it now,
You either react or you see
yeah,
the swim.
yeah, and you're gonna learn. The next time is gonna be easier. The next time is gonna be easier. So I think that is a massive. The balance with all players needs to be the same there.
Yeah.
You need to like it. Or what's it word?
You need
Embrace
to,
it.
you need to hear it, and regardless of whether you like it or not,
If,
You have to embrace
If
I
it.
promise you now, at the toppest level, at all sports, whether it's soccer, rugby, if you want to get to the top, you're going to come across a guy, a coach eventually, that's going to tell you what you don't want to hear.
Yeah.
That's going to tell you that the shit that you're on. You gave a perfect example of times in your career where you were told you were that shit where you have to go sit in your car and cry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you have to make a decision, am I going to react towards this or am I going to let it affect me? And that's the difference between people growing a hard shell, because in sport and in professional environments you need a hard shell. You can't have a little tantrum every time shit doesn't go your way.
That's how I feel. That's how one grows in the sport industry. It's having those people that give you straight and direct answers.
It's never nice to hear it, but 10 years ago when I heard it, now I hear it. Yes, I'll take it on board, but I'll move on.
Yeah.
And that's why I do not have a problem. This is just jumping. I do not have a problem with fans being frustrated and fans. But you know what? Those fans know nothing. They don't know anything. So that is where my frustration with the fans is. And that's why I want to ask your opinion about it as well. Inyana, personally, I've got a lot of people that message me how shit we are and whatever. And but what do they know?
They don't know the ins and outs of your daily life. They don't know the ins and outs of what you do, what you go there every day. They don't know ins and outs of how shit like that affects your mental health, how shit like that makes you go into your shell. They don't know your background. They don't know that this is a great example of Asra. They don't know he was a 14-year-old kid coming from George, not knowing it, because they don't know those things that impact your life. So for them it's easy to criticize your performance, but to come and sit next to you and actually get to know you and understand what we do every day, then they'll change their minds.
And sorry, I just want to say something. I was on JP Venters, die losgemaak. You were there on there as well. I'm going to say this now. There's fans that players know who need to listen to and who matters. The rest of them don't matter.
Yeah, I mean, there's a handful.
Don't matter. There's a handful of fans I've got a lot of respect for. If James, Clinton, or whoever the biggest fans are, we can name them that I personally know. If they tell me, JP, I think you need to work on this, 100% on board. But the rest of you, when stuff goes well, you there when stuff goes bad, get lost. We don't need you. Go find another team. So that is my 2 cents. I don't know how you feel about that.
Yeah, just like you said, there's a handful of guys that we've experienced a very empty Ellis Park.
Yeah.
I mean, this weekend was something for us very unusual to have people who would like to keep it that way. There's a handful of fans that you see. Okay, these people actually pay their money every month to come watch us play, and they're not doing it out of how do I put it, out of whatever. I'm just watching these guys just to criticize them. No, they're watching it because they care about the human beings first before. Because I get messages, man, from those handful. I won't name them. Maybe they want to be named. But I get these messages from those people. Those are the people that I respond to. There's a lot of messages I get and I decide not to respond.
Just saying that, whoever watches this, comment those fans' name. I personally want to say thank you to them. The rest of you don't matter to me. Anyway, what's your opinion about it?
No, I agree. I think the guys we're all mentioning or talking about, we all know the same guys. I'm talking about JP. If there's a handful of others, I'm not going to go through them now. But it's guys that actually get to know you as a person.
Yeah, man.
And it goes the same. If you get to know someone as a person, you're going to start caring more about what they do and as they are. And there's so much more